Hi and welcome to this session on fixed and variable GL allocations. My name is Brian Nielsen. I'm a program manager with the Business Central team, and with me I have...
Hello everyone, my name is Nicola and I'm a software developer in the Business Central development team.
This session is about a new feature called GL Allocations. And what we will do today is talk a bit about what it is, then we'll show you a demo of the feature. And Nicola will take you through how you set up the feature for the different types of allocations you can do. And then lastly, Nicola will give you some tips and tricks or some background insights into how it's done and what it works with and what it doesn't work with. So let's just jump into it. So in last release, we introduced a new feature called Statistical Accounts. And that is a feature that can hold non-financial numerical data that you can then use for analysis or reporting or other purposes. And built in, it works with the financial reporting feature, where you can create, as is shown on the screen, you can create reports that use the statistical accounts to create some KPIs that are not based on only your accounting data. In this case, it's a number of employees, for example. Let's just take a brief look in the product and see where it is. So in here, under Statistical Accounts, you can find or you can set up different statistical accounts. And basically, it's we can open one of them, number of employees. It's a nice number to track. You can see it. You can open the balance to see what have you entered so far. And I know that it's up here. We'll change the monthly change, and then we'll skip up a bit. And you can see that I typed in some changes to the statistical account. And you basically type them in like you do a journal, except that it can be one-sided. There's no debit and credit. You just type in a number and register it, and you can use dimensions for it. And when you've done that, you can now start using it in, for example, the financial reporting module. And you can run a report like revenue per employee, and you can get some numbers that use this together with your accounting data to produce some KPIs. But with this release, we have introduced a new feature that you can also use statistical accounts for. The new feature is called Allocation Accounts, and it's used for distributing or allocating cost and revenue. There's a fixed type where you can define how you share a line item. For example, if you're splitting up the rent per department and you have already decided on what percentages goes to what dimension value, you can do that in the fixed type. We just saw the statistical accounts with employee headcount. If you're having an event training, for example, you can split up the line item per the statistical account per dimension, for example, if you filter, so that you have a more dynamic allocation. And to make it a little simpler, we have also included an inherit property or type, where you basically take any account that you're using and then start allocating it, instead of creating one for each type. We'll see that in a second. The feature also works with deferrals, and it works in recurring journal also. It works in general journals, and as we will see, it also works in documents. So let's go and look at some of the things it can do for you. One of the things you sometimes want to do is you post your rent, for example, or you post training, and you do it through a journal. This is the simple example. So we have some lines here where I can show you the different concepts. We have one line here for end of May, where you had an audit in the beginning of the year, and now you want to allocate it. And when you do it, you pick the allocation account, the new type that you can select in the journal here at the bottom, and then you pick one of the available allocations account that you have set up. In this case, I've set up one specifically for auditing because we have decided when we did the budget for the year, like which department gets which audit expenses. So if we zoom in on this one, we'll just zoom in the report. So now we only have this one, and then we can take a preview instead of just posting it. I have one line, but in my business, I have three companies, three divisions, departments dimensioned. And you can see when I post it, it will get split into three individual lines. And of course, there's a debit and credit. So we end up with 6 GL accounts. And they will be posted to each individual dimensions that I have. It's not obvious how I've done it. We'll see that in a second. But I've already decided what the allocation should be. And the system will then split it up for me. Another type could be if you're allocating the rent expense. And you do it not just by a fixed allocation, because maybe you have office spaces that change over the year, and you keep track of that in the statistical account. So you want to use a different allocation key. And in this case, you still pick the allocation key, but you will pick another one. And this one, we'll see that in a second. It's actually using the employee number to distribute it. So again, if we filter and we take the preview, same as before. I have one line, I have three departments, I'll get 6 GL lines because it splits it in 3 and a debit credit. You can see the numbers are different, the amount was a bit different, but if I do this over time, I will also get different results because my office space, maybe I rent some extra space, maybe I reduce my production space, office space, and that will determine the allocation. So it's a dynamic way of doing it. Allocation is done because you want better data for a later analysis of your business and how it's progressing, either as profit center, cost center, or both. Setting up allocation accounts obviously saves you a lot of time that you don't have to spend splitting up the revenue or cost lines. To save a lot of time, you can also use a third type called inherit from parent that is set up. And you can see I have an expense account for software licenses, and I picked that, but I picked the GL account, not the allocation account this time, because I don't want to set up an allocation account for each GL account where I have expense and revenue that I want to distribute. Maybe just some of them, so it's easier to recognize them. In this case, I put in the account, and here further to the right, you can see I can now select to distribute per employee headcount. In this case, it makes sense to do it per employee. That's the one that are using my software that I bought and the licenses. So I'll split it up. And now if we do a preview, you can see it works like before. You have 6 lines, but this time I didn't set it up. We'll see it in a second. I didn't set it up in advance for this particular account. I selected the account, and that will save you a lot of time, but maybe also be a less transparent way of allocating. As you can see, if I pick deferrals, I've set up a deferral that will split it into 3 periods, the next 3 periods. In this case, it will be August, September, and October, because I'm posting in July. If I do this, just to see that it works, I'll get a ton of new lines because it will split up each line, and then it will do deferrals for that. And you can see, if we scroll up a bit, it has the admin here. It has 10 lines for that. The first is I split it up, so I post that. I take it out again and put it into the accrual account that I'm using for deferrals. And then I deferred for 3 different periods. So the new feature works with deferral. And one last example. So in a purchase invoice, you can also use allocation accounts. Maybe you're getting a purchase invoice and and it's something that you want to allocate. So again, you pick the allocation account, you pick the allocation that you want to do. Let's say we got the rent payment as a new invoice and we want to distribute it. So we pick this one, and then we can type in quantity, 1, and an amount, for example. So this is all good. I can now use it in documents, sales and purchase, and I can use it in general journals. Sometimes you have an allocation that is predefined that you're okay with, but sometimes you want to make an adjustment before you post. And in this case, we have a line. You can go in under functions and redistribute allocation account. And you have a distribution, but if you're not happy, you can simply just change it. And minus 70, we'll say 300. And we're good. You can also say, okay, but actually I want to post something else to maybe a different account. What do we have? We have an account here for heating. Part of the invoice was for heating, so I'll take 200 here, and then I'll reduce this one. So I can add lines. The lines will be posted as a journal line, and of course, when you are here, you can go in and change the default dimensions. We had the predefined one that has admin. Maybe you just want to dump all the expenses for sales in this one, so you can go in and override it. You can also say, this one, let's take a look. This is production, but this it's not the production facility, so we'll just delete this line. Take it away. Then we are a bit short on the amount, but we'll fix that. Here we go. And so you can override all the elements that goes into defining a cost allocation. And this also works in general journals. And then you commit the changes, and that will be used when you post the document. So you've seen how it works. You've seen, instead of posting it, we looked at the previews. So you got a glimpse of what is the end result. Now Nicola will take you through how you set up these individual types of allocation accounts.
All right.
Over to you, Nicola.
Thank you, Brian. So if you would like to set up the allocation accounts and use the nice scenarios that Brian has just demoed, the easiest way is just to go to the allocations account list, like here. They're also accessible through lookups or through the statistical account page as well. And here you can see that we are having predefined accounts that Brian has used in his demo, but I'm going to create one from the scratch to show you how does the process look like end to end. So let's create the allocation account for the expenses. And here I'm going to use this account number. So for leases, I would also like to use the rent, and I would also like to split all of the costs that are coming to, let's say, this account. And this is electricity for rental. So as you can see, as I have typed it in, it has equally split it into the percentages. And now you can change this one by defining share. And this is a UI pattern that we are using in the Business Central, which helps you to change the percentages in an easy way and ensure that they are always adding up to 100. So let's say that this one goes to 50%, and this one goes to 30%, and this one goes to 20%. So you have seen I have quickly edited and tweaked the percentages without the need to do anything. And we ensured that all of the numbers are adding up to 100%. Also, if I would like to change to 55 and this one to 25, I can now see that all of the numbers are actually matching and that it is adding to 100%. Additional nice way of using the share is if you are having whole numbers. Let's say that you're holding a bill in the hand. So let's say that this one costed 1,525. And this one costed 555, and this one costed 39.34. It's going to calculate the percentages automatically for you. One thing that I would like to point your attention to is if you select About this page, the UI is going to show you the whole percent. But in the background, we are calculating it up to 5 decimals. So these calculations are going to be very accurate, and we are also going to be using amount rounding when we are allocating to the specific GL lines. But percentage themselves is rather accurate. If you don't want this, you can simply just change these numbers that the system has calculated for you and enter 76, 23, and 2. So you're always going to get these percentages. Then next thing, which is very useful, is that you can define the dimensions. So let's say that we want to say that this one is coming with the business group office, always. So if you define it like this, whenever we are creating GL lines out of the main GL line, we will ensure that it has the business group that has the office dimension assigned to it. So this one is going to be added on the top, and it is going to win. So you can do that to all of the lines here. And you can also change the dimensions, so they are going to follow the line that they are assigned to. So if you would like to add something here, right, like an area, it's possible to be done as well. And the last thing that you can do on this page is that you can test the allocations. So if I open this page, and if you remember what I said about the decimals, and if I add a higher number here, you will see that the precision is being used, and you will see approximately what is the amount that is going to be posted. So this was all about the fixed allocation accounts. So you can use these if you have fixed percentages that you want to split the amounts between. The second one, which is very useful in my opinion, is the variable allocation account. And let's say that we want to split the cost of employee per department. And here I'm going to select that the account is variable. And now I'm getting slightly different UI. For the destination account, let's pick one here, and let's select something like transport, cars and other transport. Let's say that we want to split this one. And we can use the GL account as the input. So it's going to take the balance of the GL account to calculate the percentage from. But in this case, let's use the statistical account. And let's count on the number of employees here. So here, you can specify how you are calculating the balance. It can either be a balance at date, fiscal year, week, quarter, previous year. You can see that we have a lot of options, and the reason for this is because we use the same options that we have on the cost allocations. So we assume that it is going to be useful. Most likely some of them are not needed, and we are probably missing few. So if you have any feedback, please let us know. And the last thing that you can do here is that you can specify a filter. We offer filtering on the global dimensions. So let's say that here I want to filter on all of the employees that are in the administration department. So for the next line, I would like to do the same setup, right? And it's going to be statistical accounts, employees again. And this time I'm filtering on the department which is production. And as the last line, I'm going to repeat the same. And I'm going to specify the filter to be sales. As I did in the previous example, I would want to specify the department here to be aimed. Because then when you're posting, it's going to create the dimensions, and it will ensure that the totals that are created from the posting code unit are correct. I made a mistake here, so I'll go back and change it to prod. And as the last one, I'm going to set sales. So now, each time when I use this allocation account, it's going to post to this distribution account number, and it will split the values. It's going to assign the dimensions automatically, and you will get the accurate calculation based on the number of employees on the day that you have selected for posting. Here, it is very useful to test the allocation, because if you select this value, you can see how it is distributing the amounts. So you can see that it is using filters. It knows how many employees are per department, and it's going to show you how the cost is going to be allocated. So that was all for the variable account type. If you would like to use inherit from parent, then we cannot define the destination account number, so this needs to be blank, don't enter them. And the only thing that you need to do here is to select inherit from parent. And then you can select this account on the line, specify the GL account as Brian has shown you, and we are going to use that account to automatically fill the destination account number. So this is going to help you with defining less allocation accounts, because then you can reuse it for anything that you want to split based on the number of employees. All right, so that was all for the setup. And for the last part, I'm going to show you how the code works and explain some inner workings of the features so you can understand how you can use it better. Also, if you're a developer and you would like to extend it, this is the part where we are going to explain how the inner workings work. So here, the allocation account is actually implemented in the base app, and it is going to be under Financial Management's allocation account folder. So we have grouped all of the objects that are related to the allocation accounts here. And there are 3 code units which we are using to integrate with the rest of the product functionality. The first one is General Journal Account Management, which is handling all of the logic with integration with the general journals. We have Sales Allocation Account Management, which is allocating sales. And the last one is allocating purchase. So this is doing the integration with the purchase management. The main point of integration is when you try to post a batch. The thing that we are going to do is that first we are going to verify if the lines are correct that the user has entered, and then we are going to create the lines from batch. So the thing that we do is that we take a GL line, and then depending on how many allocation lines you have, that's the number of the new general journal lines that we are going to create. And here, the thing that I would like to point your attention to is that if you go to the create lines, so you're just going to navigate deep in the code, so you can see all of the parts that are doing here. So under the create GL line, so here is the actual code which is doing the split. We have added the integration events, 2 of them. One is on before create general journal line, which you can use if you're having any other functionality which should be split. So if you're having custom quantities or the custom amounts that we are not handling within this code, this is the subscriber that you should subscribe to split these values across the lines if you need to split them. The second event that we recommend subscribing to is on before verify. So if you have any kind of functionality that should not be compatible with allocation accounts, this is the event that you can use to throw an error and to stop the posting. Okay, so that was all on my side.
Thank you, Nicola. So hopefully a feature that will help you save a lot of data entry, and a feature that will give you data to do more analysis of how business is going. Thank you for joining this session.
Thank you on my side as well.